It's very clear, based on all the reporting, based on everything I've heard, based on everything John Tortorella has said publicly at this camp, that him and his staff are the driving forces behind Jett Luchanko making this team. They love the kid. They want him. Is it concerning that it appears that Torts won this argument? That he swayed Danny and Jonesy to his side? Because this is a triumvirate, and we've talked about what is the balance of power here. This is something that Torts, I suspect, wants more than Danny and Jonesy. And Danny and Jonesy seemingly are giving him his way. Does that worry you at all?
Initially, no. But I will say John Tortorella, we've discussed this before, 66 years old. Who knows how much longer?
There's a non-zero chance this is his final year coaching.
Anywhere.
Yeah, period.
66 years old, 742 wins. While his stated reason for wanting this job is, I want to help restore the Flyers to, their respectability, their place amongst, the premier teams in the league, all that.
Yeah.
John Tortorella also wants to end his career with as many wins on that register as possible.
He wants to win a playoff series this year.
He wants to win a playoff series.
Like, as much as Danny says, playoffs would be great, that's not the way Torts is thinking. Even if he doesn't tell us, he wants to win a playoff series. Yes. He wants to win 2.
Yeah, he was won a cup. It was 20 years ago. Yeah. And I'm not saying he thinks he can win the cup. He's not an idiot. But he wants as much on his resume as possible. He's going to push for everything.
Yes.
Now, initially, if this is a 9-game tryout and we're going to see, all right, then let's see. But if this was based on our conversations with Keith Jones, he has told us time and time again, the organizational philosophy is we want to see you dominate each level before you graduate.
Yeah. And
Jett
Luchanko
has not.
He did not dominate the OHL.
He did not.
And he did not dominate NHL preseason either.
He did neither of those things. Yet, here he is at 18 years and a month and a half old, probably going to start his NHL career next Friday night in Vancouver.
Yeah, probably.
I do wonder about his influence here, especially considering he's not going to be here, at least in this capacity, that much longer. Even if he plays out his contract.
Yeah, it's only 2 more years.
There's only this year and next year.
Yeah.
It's something to think about. It's not like I think this dire thing right now, but how are decisions going to be made moving forward? Is the future still the number one priority, or did overachieving a little bit last year? We're not talking about, in a normal year, 86 points is you're 10 points shy, man. They happen to be short because the East was terrible last year. And that was with by all accounts, a major overachievement. The sum was way bigger than the parts, all that, whatever. Mm-hmm. It will be interesting to see if they cheat this rebuild a little bit now.
I just think, to me, an interesting comparison for this decision, for the Luchanko decision, and I actually think there are a lot of similarities here, is the decision to keep Emil Andre last year at camp. Because their preseasons, in different ways, but their preseasons, Andre's preseason last year and Luchanko's preseason this year, are similar in the sense that Andre showed flashes. He had some good games. He also had some real bad plays, some bad turnovers. It was a mixed bag. But John Tortorella, and my understanding is John Tortorella was the Emil Andre advocate in that room. John Tortorella went into the room and was like, look, I don't know who on this defense can move the puck. I don't know who I trust on this defense to do a thing that we need to do in order to be decent on the ice this year. Say what you will about Andre's mistakes. He's not a finished product. Maybe he's not ready, but he does this thing we need, so I really want him on the roster. And Danny and Jonesy and everybody was like, you know what? Yeah, we'll give you Andre for a little bit, and if he's not ready, we'll send him down. That's the thing. Now we're in a situation where Jett Luchanko, mixed bag preseason, showed some flashes, not perfect, but fine. He looks like he's going to be able to at least not get killed out there in the NHL. John Tortorella goes in and says, you know what? He might not be perfect, but I love the approach. I love the attitude. He's mature, and he brings something that we don't have. We don't have enough speed down the middle. We don't have enough depth down the middle. And Danny and Jonesy, again, seem to be like, okay, we'll give it to you. Now, the reason why that concerns me is I see what happened with Andre. What happened with Andre last year was he was up for 4 games. And then based on all the conversations I've had with people in the organization, they think he suffered for it. They think it took him about a month down in the AHL to re-find his footing. So they saw that happen in a very comparable situation just last year where they caved to Torts. And now in a very similar situation, they are again caving to Torts. That's a bit concerning to me.
We are going to wrap up the show in just a second, but first I would like to thank all of our diehards. We could not do what we do here at PHLY without you. If you're not a diehard, sign up at allphly.com.
But you see where I'm coming from.
I absolutely see where you're coming from. I do think there is something too, though, like, all right, we're going to give you what you want, and then when you get it, like, okay, he'll then realize, oh, this didn't work. And I don't think if he gets sent back after the 9 games, if Luchanko gets sent back after 5 games, 9 games, whatever it is, it's just like, yeah, he's not ready for what we need him to do. Yeah. I just don't think ultimately. Now, it might set him back for a couple of weeks, like it did Emile Andre, a month, whatever.
I don't think it killed Emile Andre.
Like,
he's had a great camp, so it didn't ruin him. And I'm not terribly concerned it's going to ruin Jett Luchanko either.
I don't think in the long run that's going to hurt him.
Yeah, I agree.
And if you give Tortorella what he wants, and then he sees, and then, okay, now I agree with you as well. Like, and now we're all on the same page. I don't see the harm in that. And that's been my thing with the 9-game tryout all along. I want more of a sample size. Maybe Torts feels the exact same way.
Yeah.
And we saw that was his almost exact thinking with Emile Andre last year. He can do some things that we don't have. Let's see how he does.
And maybe this is just the product of the collaborative environment that they want to build, where everybody in the triumvirate has a voice. And if, Torts is part of the triumvirate, and if he is dead set on this thing, like we have to do this thing, and it's what I really, really want, maybe, I don't even know if this is the right turn of phrase, but like to keep the peace, give him what he wants. We don't think it's, and it speaks to what Torts said today, where he's not worried that this is going to hurt him. And maybe that's the thought process of Danny and Jonesy, where it's like, okay, we believe in this kid enough, we believe in his maturity, that we don't think it's going to hurt him. And what's the harm of pacifying Torts for a couple weeks?
And I will say, and we're going to get to super chats and wrap up in just a second. This is my final point. I will say that one of the things, like I said, he's got that list. Has it, doesn't have it. Yeah. Much of that is mental. That's why he plays all the mind games he plays.
True.
Like John Tortorella is a mental test. Even the physical test, like the rope skate, is actually a mental test. That's all. Yeah. That's all it is.
Yeah. And I think it's very exciting that John Tortorella has apparently decided this early that Jett's got it. That's very exciting.
If he thinks this isn't going to hurt him, that's what he's here to decide.
Right.
Like, ultimately,
Fair point.
John Tortorella is here to decide that thing because he's the one on the bench with these kids. He's the one coaching. Now, we can debate whether he's the right one for that. I kind of like him for this part of it. The winning in a year or two, I'm not sure.
Right.
But this part, I kind of like him for because he is a lunatic. Sometimes you need crazy people in your life. Like, if he's decided this isn't going to hurt him, then I want to see how it plays out too.
Yeah.
We all silly like the mayor.